Hello, everyone. Today we're going to talk about Russia's war against Ukraine and how the end of this offensive may be near, very near. So go ahead and like the video, share it with your friends, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any content from the channel. Don't forget to leave your comment at the end too. It took a long time, but the president of the American House, Mike Johnson, showed true leadership by bringing aid to Ukraine to a vote. Now the Biden administration must ensure Ukrainian victory. After the successful vote in the House of Representatives on aid to Ukraine, the Senate and the White House will act quickly to turn the package of over $61 million into law. There is no doubt that the United States military is already pre-positioning ammunition and equipment to be able to provide key elements of aid as quickly as possible. This was a key moment and reveals significant positive aspects. About 71% of House members voted in favor, reflecting resounding bipartisan support from the United States to Ukraine, both politically and popularly. Several congressmen in favor of approval highlighted the growing connections between Russia, Iran, and China, a new axis of authoritarians actively working together. This is a clear assessment of the threat the free world faces. Furthermore, former President Trump gave political cover to House Speaker Mike Johnson to advance this legislation when they met on April 12th. This is a clear sign that, if elected president again, Trump does not want to inherit a disaster. While he wants peace through strength, not peace through weakness and capitulation. Enough with the good news. The bad news is that delays and difficulty in passing the aid law jeopardize the national security of the United States and should serve as a warning. This process cannot be allowed to drag on. Johnson believes that the United States should not just give Ukraine enough to survive, but enough to win. A Ukrainian victory is essential to restoring peace in Europe, to deterring Chinese aggression in Asia, and to reinforcing Iranian concerns about attacking Israel. Several measures must be taken immediately. The Biden administration must clearly and unequivocally support the president's own statement on December 12th. We want to see Ukraine win the war. America's goal is a Ukrainian victory. This message needs clear and consistent repetition from the highest levels of the American government and must be supported by the necessary policy decisions to make this a reality. There should be no ambiguity in the president's words. Strategic clarity is needed. Now that funding is secured, the United States military should flood Ukraine with vast quantities of weapons and ammunition as quickly as possible. Russian forces are in a very weak position, with deficient equipment, training, morale, and leadership. But they have made gains in recent months due to the lack of ammunition in Ukraine. Russian forces need to feel a little shock and awe to understand that the battlefield has changed and that time is not on their side. It's time to start deterring Russia from further aggression, rather than assuring them that the world wants to avoid escalation. Instead of worrying about what Putin might do, Putin should worry about what Ukraine's allies can do. As part of this, the Biden administration must lift all artificial and self-imposed limits on aid to Ukraine. The United States should provide Ukraine with its longest-range ballistic missiles, which can reach Sevastopol, the Kerch Strait Bridge, and Russian logistical concentrations well behind the front lines. The administration should also work closely with Turkey, Romania, and Bulgaria. According to the Montreux Convention, non-belligerent nations can bring warships into the Black Sea for 21 days at a time. This would allow for a persistent presence in the region to deter Russian attacks on commercial shipping. France, the United States, the United Kingdom, and other NATO allies should form a coalition of wills to directly assist Ukrainian defense of their cities, civilians, and non-military infrastructure against drone, missile, and rocket attacks, as they recently did with Israel. This can be done by establishing, along with Ukraine, a sanitary cordon in Ukrainian airspace adjacent to NATO. Such a cordon could extend for hundreds of kilometers in Ukrainian airspace and enhance protection for Lviv, Odessa, and Kyiv, while relieving the country's overwhelmed and poorly armed missile crews. The United States should begin building consensus within NATO to increase burden sharing in support of Ukraine. turning the Ramstein military assistance process into a NATO compensation mechanism and establishing a fund, as proposed by Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, to provide consistent military support to Ukraine, despite setbacks in US and European processes. Build consensus within NATO for an invitation at the Washington Summit, which will take place in July, for Ukraine to begin discussions on its NATO membership as soon as possible. This invitation is essential to tell Vladimir Putin that he will never defeat Ukraine, to help provide a winning strategy for Ukraine, and to lay the groundwork for a future European peace agreement. The vote in the House of Representatives is a watershed, but it does not guarantee victory and peace by itself. It must now be followed by decisive action by the United States administration to achieve a Ukrainian victory and, in doing so, restore conditions for permanent peace, prosperity, and security throughout Europe, and to re-establish deterrence on that continent, the Middle East and Asia. Alliances are what dictate the rules in a war of this magnitude, and naturally, the alliance of Ukrainians is much more powerful. NATO has 3 countries from the UN Security Council, which possess nuclear weapons. Although the Russians also possess this technology, it does not compare to the combined power of the other countries. Russia is not the world's greatest military power, and this war is about to show that. Stay tuned to the channel, as at any moment we'll bring updates on the conflict. Thank you for watching so far, and until next time.